is Luntha of the news coming to you live from Bishop Navy Media Center in Eliato, Lilongwe. My name is Fales Chizombe. Now let's have a look at our top stories. Combone missionary sisters in Mozambique vow to remain in Chipene despite a jihad terrorist attack. Government plans to fight international organizations to relocate refugees. CHRR calls on government to intensify policies on land acquisition and resettlement in Malawi. And in other news, regional forces in DR Congo mark 1 month ceasefire. Now the news and details. Common missionary sisters in Chipene, a small village in Mozambique, say they will remain in the village to help preach the word of God and take care of young girls who are attending various schools, despite an attack by jihad which claimed the life of a sister some few months ago. Sister Paula Saudat Sanchez, whose life was spared on the day of the attack, as she had gone to the capital Nampula for shopping, urged for prayers and financial help to continue educating the population, especially the women, as 70% are illiterate. Tandimem Zumara reading a long report.
During Sister Paula's absence, the jihadists attacked the Komboni mission, but she was saved along with another sister who was also away, but Sister Marie De Kopi was killed. Sister Paula remembers her with admiration, saying she founded the community 60 years ago and it ultimately gave her life for it. She was a sister who loved the people very much, as she was always with them and never had any problems with them. Despite the attack, the Komboni sisters have decided to remain in Chipene while asking for prayers and financial help to continue educating the population, especially the women, as 70% are illiterate. The Bishop of Nacala, a port city in Mozambique, values the mission of the Komboni sisters and works side by side with them to educate the youth. Together, they hope to provide an alternative to the opportunities offered by the terrorist groups. But according to Bishop Alberto Vera, the number one reason why this terrorism is happening is because young people have not had any other opportunity, and most of them are illiterate. They do not know how to speak Portuguese. Although Mozambique signed a peace treaty in 1992, it has been immersed in internal conflict for decades. The Catholic Church has been working to neutralize terrorism and provide better future for young people throughout the country.
Malawi government has ventured in an entitled bout with international organizations after hooking guns to commence the relocation of refugees and asylum seekers. Minister of Homeland Security Kenneth Kalengoma disclosed during a meeting of government officials and smallholder-scale business operators on Tuesday that the move to have refugees repatriated is facing threats from donors, with others refusing to provide financial support on the exercise. Herbert Karanda has more in this report.
The meeting followed the expiry of a 15-day ultimatum, which government handed to refugees and asylum seekers staying elsewhere in the country to relocate to the Leka refugee camp in Dowa district. Zikalengoma said government was yet to relocate the refugees. He said documents at the ministry indicate that there are only 3,000 registered business persons who are eligible to operate in the country.
All those that have the status of refugee in nature should stay at a camp. And the only camp that we have is Zareka at the moment. So these people, instead of staying at Zareka or in Zareka, they are moving out into our towns, into our villages, and people are not happy with that because now they've created a competition in terms of businesses. Our friends do earn allowances in dollars, and our people locally do not earn anything. As such, they are always under pressure when it comes to business to run any small business they're having.
During the meeting, Government's Commissioner for Refugees, Ignacio Maulana, told the gathering that United Nations High Commission for Refugees is against the move and has vowed not to pump in fund for the exercise. He said the organization feels that Dzaleka is a small place when compared to thousands of refugees and asylum seekers residing in residential areas. In an interview, chairperson for small-scale business traders in the country, Tenson Malimbula, said he is optimistic that governments will do the needful.
I can say that we have the trust in the new minister in the name of Honorable Dr. Zikale Ngoma, just because this is not the first meeting with the Dr. Zikale Ngoma.
As of December 2021, Malawi hosts 52,678 persons of concern to UNHCR. The majority live in Dzaleka refugee camp located in Dowa district, some 41 kilometers away from the capital, Lilongwe. Dzaleka is a protracted camp with a monthly average of 300 new arrivals. 62% are from DRC, 19% from Burundi, and 7% from Rwanda and 2% other nationalities. 45% of the folks are women and 48% are children. The camp was initially established to host between 10,000 to 12,000 folks, but now hosts over 52,000 individuals. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, I'm Helbert Katanda.
The results of a study by a consortium of the Economic Association of Malawi, ICAMA, Oxfam Malawi, Lilongwe University of Agriculture and Natural Resources, called the nexus between public debt and economic growth in Malawi. A public sector analysis from 1995 to 2021 reveals that high debt is crippling the country's economy. In an interview with Luntha television, Luana researcher Henry Kamoa revealed that as the country's debt stood at 7.9 trillion kwacha in December 2022, there was a need for proper debt management techniques in the short run. He said there is also a need to find ways of raising enough resources to meet the country's budget failure, which the country will continue to borrow from other recurrent transactions. Kamoa speaks to our reporter, Bridget Manuka.
Doing a study from the data we have from 1995 to 2021 as a nation of Malawi about the debt we've been procuring and whether this debt we've been procuring both domestically as well as externally has been assisting us as a country in terms of economic growth. So we are making a presentation on the relationship or the nexus between the debt we've been procuring and whether it has assisted us in terms of economic growth as a nation of Malawi. Malawi, we are going so much into debt as a nation. Since 2006, when we were, Malawi as a nation was forgiven the loans from the bilateral partners, the debt has been soaring tremendously each and every year, to an extent that as we were ending the 2021-2022 financial year, our debt was around 6.38 trillion.
Tiwondani Care for Children on and off streets has moved to sensitize the public on the street life and how the society can participate in eliminating the challenge. Bridget Chedama, who is the social work coordinator for Tiwondani Care for Children, has told us that they have arranged to conduct campaigns going as far as to parishes and other areas to make the people aware on what the street life is all about. She said this is part of their Silver Jubilee commemoration scheduled to take place on 2nd September this year. Brad Mansa reports.
Founded in 1998 by the missionary sisters of Our Lady of Africa, Tiwondani Care for Children on and off the streets offers hands-on care and protection to street children who are at risk. In Lilongwe, the capital of Malawi, Tikonani provides street outreach work, transit accommodation, psychosocial support and counseling, legal support and advocacy, as well as facilitating the reintegration of children into their families, communities and school systems. This year, the organization is clocking 25 years in service, and according to the organization's social work coordinator, Bridget Chitama, they intend to reach to as many communities as possible to sensitize people on the challenges of street life and responsibilities that everyone needs to take. She said they have lined up a number of activities to undertake ahead of the celebration in September this year, with hope that many people get to know how to prevent further escalation of children going on the streets.
What we are trying to do is, when we reach out to the parishes, we want to share with them about the plight of this kind of children, so that the people are aware about these children and they are able to respond accordingly in order to help these children.
On the current status of street-connected children, Chitama said the situation is so pathetic as a lot of children are flocking into the city streets to find for themselves a living, running away from different social challenges in their respective homes.
So in a year we work with about 750 children, and you can just see that this is not a small number. These children could have been on the streets, but we try to make sure that these children are able to live the street life and are connected with their homes.
Statistics show that most children take to the streets due to poverty at home, family breakdown, and HIV and AIDS, which has left an estimated 1.2 million children in Malawi as orphans. According to 2020 findings, Malawi had approximately 4,000 children living on the streets of cities such as Blantyre, Lilongwe, Mzuzu and Zomba, with experts estimating that there would be at least 6,000 street children in the country by 2022. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, I am Bernard Mwanza.
If you are just tuning in, you're watching our 7:30 news bulletin, coming to you live from Bishop Navy Media Center in Area 2, Lilongwe. Before we proceed, let's have a look at our top stories once more. Combone missionary sisters in Mozambique vow to remain in Chipene despite a jihad terrorist attack. Government plans to fight international organizations to relocate refugees. CHRR calls on government to intensify policies on land acquisition and resettlement in Malawi. And in other news, regional forces in DR Congo mark 1 month ceasefire. Moving on, the Center for Human Rights and Rehabilitation has called on government to come up with policies to help guide developers and better serve Malawians in the process of land acquisition. Speaking during the launch of a report on land acquisition and resettlement in Malawi, which was done in collaboration with International Accountability Project Executive Director of CHRR, Michael Kayatsa, said in many cases, land acquisition, compensation and resettlement processes have been done badly and unconstitutionally, which results in displacement of people being cheated out of their rightful compensation. He said the report has been developed in an attempt to understand issues of community displacement arising from a large-scale investment project known as Development-Induced Displacement and Resettlement (DIDR). Jacqueline Saidi has more in this report.
According to Kayatsa, the report, which has been launched today, was developed in an effort to understand issues of community displacement arising from large-scale investment projects known as development-induced displacement and resettlement. He said as they have been receiving complaints from affected people on the matter of which the development projects come about, and that with this report, a number of recommendations have been given for government to implement so that these projects should not negatively affect others.
Important report which has confirmed the concerns that have been coming from the communities for many years. As an organization, we've been receiving complaints, from many communities affected by development projects that sometimes they are relocated without being given adequate compensation or even no compensation at all. There have also been so many, complaints regarding the manner in which information is disseminated, because there have been cases where people are not told, of what development projects are coming. They just wake up in the morning and find that they are being relocated, which is contrary to the laws of Malawi, which is also contrary to the Access to Information Act, which requires the state, to provide information.
Commenting on the same, the researcher for the report, Tony Milanzi, has said it's high time as a country we started thinking about the people being relocated. He indicated that in many cases, the acquisition of land is being done without following the proper processes, and that compensation given is also minimal comparing to the sought land.
It's happening, but we don't seem to be concerned about the impact of the people that we are displacing, the people that we are removing from their villages and their communities. So, as bad as that it is in itself, the processes are not being followed. Compensation, people are not getting compensated, and if they are compensated at all, the compensation is not adequate. So those are the things that are happening on the ground, and this is what this study is all about. Make sure that first we understand that this is not right, and what it is that we can do to make sure that we don't keep repeating this.
The report has found out that the legal framework that governs land acquisition and resettlement in Malawi is fragmented and fails to fulfill, promote and protect the rights of affected communities. For Luntha Television News, this is Jacqueline Saidi.
The United Nations in Malawi has called for more support towards survivors of the tropical cyclone Freddy, observing that 10,000 of people are still without adequate shelter and other requirements to survive. A statement which was signed by the UN Resident Coordinator Rebecca Adadonto says 1 month after the passage of tropical cyclone Freddy, which swept through 15 districts in southern Malawi, destroying lives, livelihoods and homes, communities ravaged by the storm still require urgent assistance and support as they strive to survive the aftermath of the devastating floods and mudslides. Bridget Manoga has more in this report.
The statement states that in support of these incredible communities and the government-led response, 60 UN agencies and non-government organizations have provided life-saving assistance to people affected by the disaster. However, much more remains to be done. Malawi is one of the countries that have been hardest hit by the increased rainfall accompanying tropical cyclones in southern Africa as a result of human-induced climate change. Since 12 March 2023, close to 230,000 people have been reached with vital assistance and support, including food for the most vulnerable people, safe water and sanitation facilities and hygiene services, access to healthy care, including sexual and reproductive health, and emergency shelter such as tents and trampoline. This has included the airlifting of relief, especially food, to areas that remain cut off or difficult to reach by road. However, with humanitarian partners Flash Appeal for Malawi less than 11% funded, there are critical gaps in response and additional contributions are urgently required for humanitarian partners to scale up assistance in support of the government-led response. The statement further stated that humanitarian partners in Malawi are committed to a response that places people at the center and have zero tolerance for sexual exploitation and abuse. It, however, discloses that despite their best efforts, tens of thousands of people are still without adequate shelter. Tropical Cyclone Freddy, which killed over 1,000 people, is a devastating reminder of the human cost of the global climate crisis. Bridget Mwanoka for Luntha News in Lilongwe.
And in international news, the Eastern Africa Community Legion Forces has been marking 1 month since the start of a ceasefire between the Democratic Republic of Congo Army and M23 rebels. The ceasefire has significantly enhanced the withdrawal of M23 from areas they occupy. Jeff Nyanga, the Kenyan commander of the region force. Tandiwe Zumara reading a BBC Africa report. Due to our technical fault, we are sorry we cannot give you that report. And that concludes our today's news bulletin. But before we go, let's have a look at our top stories once more. Combined missionary sisters in Mozambique vow to remain in Chipene despite a jihad terrorist attack. Government plans to fight international organizations to relocate refugees. CHRR calls on government to intensify policies on land acquisition and resettlement in Malawi. And in other news, Legion forces in DR Congo mark 1 month ceasefire. You have been with me, Father Susan Beth. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and goodbye for now.